Yeah.
So one of her favorites is Ferrum Foss, which she will also call number 4 because that's what's on
It's
the
amazing
bottle.
that she's actually learned that. I haven't learned what the numbers are,
It's
but
number
she
4.
knows. Yeah, okay.
And she learned early on that when she starts to get a little tickle in her throat or like that little bit of extra tiredness, that means she might feel a cold or something coming on, that this is a great thing to take. So that's one of her favorites. And usually if she comes to me and says, you know, I need some cell salts, that's usually what she means. And she'll go and probably take a few more. You know, I need to dole them out because she'll eat 5, 6, 7 of them. I'm like, you don't need that much.
Usually 2 is a dose. That's the standard dose. Yeah. And we call that, of course, nip it in the bud.
Right.
Because most people can tell for themselves or their kids when they're kind of under the weather and kind of heading into getting sick, but they don't have full-blown symptoms yet. And that's the perfect time to take Ferrum Foss. And often it will turn things around. And they won't get that cold, flu, sore throat, whatever.
That's exactly what happened. So that was a great thing to help her with and say, okay, when you feel this way, this is a great way to sort of head it in a different direction.
What a great thing for a kid to know.
Yeah, it is. It is. The other ones, and I'm going to use the names that I can't remember exactly what they are, but it's Strong Bones and the Nerve Tonic. And you can explain what those actually are. I just know the
Strong
names
Bones
that you've made.
Yeah, I made up the names. So Strong Bones is a blend of 3 of them, the minerals that are especially used for bones. So it's really good for growing children, especially if they're having growing pains. And also because the same minerals are used for teeth, it can support when teeth are coming out, and especially sometimes a tooth is coming in very slowly and it's a long, painful process, and then you can give this blend and then it can just help the tooth to erupt. And so it's a blend of 3 of the cell salts, but since it's just something I make for my clients, so it's not something people could get, but easily anybody can get the most important one, Calcarea phosphorica, but we have nicknames for these things because the names are too long. Calc Foss. People have to be sure to get the 6x potency because that's the cell salt. That's like the nutritional potency. So they could find that online in some health food stores. Many health food stores don't have them, but easily online people can find them.
We do sell the cell salts at
Cambridge Naturals, my favorite health food store where you work, Amy. And then the other one, I call it Nerve Tonic. And that's, well, you can describe for us how you use it for Eden or how you know that she needs it.
It seems to calm her. So I know that if we're going, when she was much younger, if we were going to, say, an event at her brother's school, that he did a lot of plays, and we would go and be around a lot of people, and it would be noisy, and there would be lights on the set or loud music, something like that, I would give it to her before going in and just saying, you know what, this is going to help you to help your nervous system to be nice and settled. So it's good ahead of time, but it's also something that I would carry with me if I noticed her becoming a little overstimulated by something.
That makes sense,
which could be anything,
Usually what we use Nerve Tonic for, one thing would be students who've just been, like they're going into exam time and they're just studying and studying and studying and not getting good food or getting exercise, and they're just stuck there with their books, or even worse, with their computer hour after hour. Anybody who's using a computer a lot or is in an intense Wi-Fi environment, that type of thing, where the nervous system just feels frazzled. So Nerve Tonic would be good for that. People feel, as you would say, people feel calmer. They feel like their nervous system is more settled. And the most important ingredient in that, again, people can find this in some health food stores like Cambridge Naturals or online, Cali Foss, as opposed to Calcarea phosphorica. Let's also talk about how you, as a craniosacral therapist, have learned, you've found ways to draw on your techniques or your knowledge as a craniosacral therapist to help Eden. What could the average parent at home do that you learned from your background in craniosacral?
So one of the things that I do with Eden a lot is to just lend some energetic support to her sacrum. And I feel like this is great for kids because they're always falling on their rear ends or tumbling off of the playground or slides or just falling down. And when you land really hard on your sacrum, it's going to affect your spine and
all the nerves coming out of the spine,
all the nerves
right?
coming out of the spine. So it can actually be pretty jarring. And one way to just help settle things is have your child lie on their back on the floor, or you know, on a carpet or something, or on the bed, and just put a hand gently under their sacrum, and you can sort of feel that bone settle into the palm of your hand. You can feel everything sort of relax and realign. What can happen with these falls is the emotion of what was felt at the time can get lodged in the body. So it's especially important to know that there could be crying that comes out as this settles in, or anger, or something like that, and it's pretty normal to have that expressed as it gets moved out.
So you just let the child cry, or let her express herself, and
if it happens,
it's
not, you know, some people will do that and think, oh, this is making them cry, I'm hurting them, and it can be just a release. But at this point, I can actually look at Eden and say, how's your sacrum doing? How's your pelvis? You know, get everything back in alignment, and she will think about it, and she'll say, okay, everything is.
This is amazing.
Okay.
Just a reminder, she's 5 years old, and she can tell if her pelvis is aligned. It's amazing.
Yeah. You're basically just going right on top of the butt crack.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you can
It's
feel
like a flat,
the bone.
triangular
It's
bone,
sort of,
yeah.
it's going to feel like, if this is my hand, the sacrum can just sort of fit into the palm like that. And you'll feel everything sort of melt in the body in that area, and sort of sink and relax into your hand. It might be being held stiff. If there is some bruising or something, the muscles might be holding everything really tight, sort of in a protective mode. And so just to get everything to relax back into its natural alignment can be helpful.
One homeopathic remedy I would mention for an injury to the tailbone is Hypericum, which is our favorite remedy for nerve injuries. And that can be hitting your hand with a hammer, because the fingertips are so rich in nerves. Any injury to, I don't know, an earlobe or a lip, I see people with these piercings of very, very sensitive areas, and I think, wow, that's a situation that Hypericum could help with. Yeah.
That would be good.
Any injury to the nerves. Or a nerve pain, like some people will have a pain in a tooth, and they'll say it's shooting up like along a string, like I feel a line of pain, then maybe it's in the nerve root, and Hypericum can help with that. Out of many, many remedies for dental pain, that would be one way to tell. Or sciatic pain, many remedies for sciatic pain, but if people feel like with sciatica, the pain is kind of shooting down along the path of the nerve, they can actually feel it traveling quickly, like, or they'll say it's like an electric shock. Hypericum can help with that. So tailbone injury is perfect time for Hypericum. Yeah.
Okay. We were on a playground, and she was reaching up to the monkey bars, and she fell. And I wasn't close enough to catch, you know, I was on the other side of the equipment, and she just started screaming, and another parent ran over, and and there was that sort of fuss that gets made.
Yeah.
And she's screaming and screaming, and I looked, and I didn't see any blood, and I didn't see anything that would cause enormous alarm right away, and I just picked her up and held her, and she kept crying. She was like really wailing, and for some reason I didn't say, it's okay, you're okay. You know, I just held her, and all those comforting things that you think are comforting that come out, like, you're fine, don't worry, it's okay, everything's okay. I didn't say any of that. I was just quiet, and I let her cry, and I held her. This went on for about 10 or 12 minutes, and I just had this sort of peaceful feeling in me where I just sat down on the equipment and just held her. And as she started to stop, I thought, okay, we're going to be going home now. You know, this was just a traumatic event. We're going to go back. And then suddenly she stopped. The crying stopped, and she sort of wiped her tears and stood up and reached right back up for the monkey bars. And I thought, whoa, I'm like, isn't she scared to death of this? She just fell and really hurt herself. What's going on here? And I stopped myself from going, don't do that, you know, are you sure you want to do that? And I just watched, and she reached up, and she did it. And she completed what she wanted to do before. She went all the way across with the monkey bars. And I thought about this, and I was like, how come she wasn't scared to do that again? And what I realized is that in allowing her to cry, she moved the fear right out of her. The fear that she felt when she fell was completely released. So there was
No
no
more
problem
fear.
jumping back up to do it. She wasn't afraid of it. She went back to, I really want to work these monkey bars. And every piece, every remembrance of the fall was gone. She
Not
had
lodged
worked
in her
through
body,
it.
as
It
you
wasn't
would
lodged
say.
in her body. It wasn't
Right.
lodged in her mind. And I thought, this is what we need to do. This is really empowering our children to heal themselves, trusting that they know what they need. She needed to cry for 10 minutes to move that feeling out, and then everything was okay.
And so often we tell kids, you're fine, when they're not fine.
They're not fine.
And it's like invalidating their reality, right?
Exactly, and it's
Yeah.
I think they start to question eventually, can I trust my own feelings about myself? Because I know what I'm feeling, but someone else, my mom, who should know these things, is telling me that I'm okay. So am I okay? And they really start to question their own instinct, their own intuition.
This is actually one of the themes of my writing and my show and so forth, is teaching people to listen to their own bodies and trust the messages they're getting from their bodies, even in the face of a doctor who's saying you're fine because your lab tests are normal, all your diagnostic imaging is fine. And then you have to be able to say, but I'm in pain. You know, there's something that's not right.
Wrong.
And if you can't help me, I have to find another doctor. So we have to encourage people to be able to trust their own sense of their bodies, and also encourage doctors to respect people's sense of their bodies. And I understand it's frustrating for a doctor who wants to help someone and can't find anything in their paradigm that they can do.
Right.
But at least they can respect what the person is saying and not try to override it by telling them that they're fine.
Yeah.